how wealthy, straight, white reactionaries fight progress. And that's the key to it. This is something that just is not discussed at all in our media. And it really should be. I mean, this whole politics as sports treats Democrats and Republicans as if they're both serious about policy, serious about governance, serious about wanting to move America forward. They just have different strategies to do it. Well, first of all, let's define some terms here. Progressives are people who want the country to progress, to move forward. And most of the debates the progressives have are about how best to accomplish that. What's the best way, and that has the fewest side effects, the best way to move the country forward. Conservatives, by and large, want to maintain the status quo. They look around and say, hey, things look like they're pretty good. Let's just keep it this way. And most of the debates the conservatives have are about how to maintain the status quo without, again, having negative side effects. Those are reasonable positions. They're historic positions. They go all the way back to the founding of the Republic. But there's nothing conservative, there's nothing conserving the country about a lot of what the Republican Party has been doing. I mean, it's so, you know, like when Ben Sass says he wants to roll back the 17th Amendment, direct election of the senators of the Senate. He said this in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. That's not conservative. That's not maintaining the status quo. That's reactionary. That is changing the status quo back to how it used to be back before 1913 when the 17th Amendment was passed. Or when Ann Coulter said that we should eliminate the 19th Amendment and take away the right of women to vote. She said that women see the government as their husbands. I mean, when you look at the Democrats getting in there and spending $4 trillion, whether women are given the vote or in whatever state or whatever country, you see spending go through the roof. Right. That's not conservative. That's reactionary. I mean, this is very straightforward. What the court is doing right now with this decision is reactionary. This is not conservatism. And we need to be very clear about this. And by the way, we need to be very clear about the fact that the Republican Party has not been conservative since the Reagan presidency. It has been purely reactionary. Republicans since Reagan have been deregulating well-functioning markets and producing things like the banking disaster of 2008 or the S&L disaster of 1986. They have been destroying labor unions and the right to unionize, a right that goes back to 1935 and the National Labor Relations Act, the Wagner Act. That's not conservative, that's reactionary. They have been granting trillions in tax breaks and tax subsidies to the very richest among us. Again, that is not conservative, that is reactionary. That is trying to roll back progress. They have been allowing massive monopolies to form in every industry in America. These, again, are not conservative behaviors. These are reactionary behaviors. This is never pointed out on the Sunday shows. It's never discussed in the media. People are shocked that conservatives on the Supreme Court want to end the right to abortion. You shouldn't be shocked. They're not conservatives. They don't want to conserve the status quo. They don't want to keep things the way they are. They want to turn, these are radical reactionaries. They want to turn America into something that it once was more than 50 years ago, but has not been in the lifetime of most people who are around today. And that's pretty shocking when you think about it. You know, and by the way, that's not the limit of their reactionaryism. For example, if there's such a word, for example, in the 2000 election, when Jeb Bush threw 90,000 African Americans off the voting rolls in Florida because they had names similar to that of felons in Texas, and then his brother won the state by 537 votes. That was not conservative. That was reactionary. I mean, you could argue it was just fundamentally anti-American. 4 years later, Ken Blackwell in Ohio did the same thing. He pushed 300,000 people off the voting rolls, purged them. And then, you know, John Kerry lost by 100,000 votes in Ohio, which turned the whole election. And then when Republicans tried to do the same thing in Ohio in the 2018 election, again trying to purge tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of mostly African Americans off the voting rolls, and also, you know, white people and Hispanics who lived in largely Democratic areas, The Supreme Court backed them up in that case. They said, fine, go ahead, do this. And so this is now routine in every Republican-controlled state in the Union. If you're a Democrat, if you're a registered Democrat, or if you live in neighborhoods or areas that are heavily Democratic voting, particularly minority areas, expect to get your name purged from the voting rolls if you live in one of these Republican states. That's not conservative. That's reactionary. Let's be clear about what's going on and about how, generally speaking, progress in a democracy moves forward, and then the reactionaries come in and pull it back, and then progress moves forward again. They may succeed in tearing down the right to abortion. It's going to be a Pyrrhic victory for them because progress will continue. The question is, how many women are going to die in back alley abortions before the next progressive phase begins?